57 years ago, the movie The Sound of Music made its debut, and it has made its way into the hearts of many, many people over the years it's been around, including my wife, which means I have watched that film far more times than I ever really planned to. But it is a great movie, and I do love a good musical. That's just the guy I am. The characters in it, they are so endearing. But the grumpy widower, Captain Von Trapp, finally having his heart melted by the boisterous, fun-loving Maria, who looked, I think, astonishingly a lot like Mary Poppins, but that's just me. The children, they were pretty cute in it. They learned how to be kids again by wearing curtains and singing that good night song, adieu, adieu, adieu. Bit of trivia for you, I don't know if you knew this. Nicholas Hammond played one of the boys, Friedrich was his name, but he also played a superhero in the campy 1970s version TV of Spider-Man. So if you're ever on YouTube, look it up. It's the same guy. It's a terrible show, but it's awesome at the same time. But with a title like The Sound of Music, obviously the music played a big part in the movie. Even if you're not a big fan of musicals like I am, most people, I think, still know the scene with the kids learning to sing their do, re, mi's running all over the countryside. And who has not felt a lump in their throat when Captain Von Trapp is remembering just how beautiful his country was before the war started taking over, and his heart pours out, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. But one of the all-time favorite scenes, I think, is when that lightning storm hits and all the kids end up in Maria's room and they're scared witless, all right? And to calm their fears and comfort them, she teaches them, of course, what else does she do, with a song to think about when they are feeling sad. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens. Bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens. Brown paper packages from Amazon, tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Thank you. You've seen the movie too, apparently. Right? But what a great idea she had that night. Not only is the tune really, really catchy, but it teaches everyone, both kids and adults, who are weathering the storms of life, that when things seem hard, when the world around us is crashing down and everything looks kind of scary right now, turn your mind to the things that we care about, to the favorite things in our life, because then we won't feel so sad. We all have the favorite things in life, don't we? Often, like the song says, it's the little things that can bring a smile to our faces. I'm not sure how excited I get about cream-colored ponies and doorbells and wild geese and whatever on earth a schnitzel is, but I like my dogs. That's just who I am. They're always happy to see me. No matter what kind of day I had, I just love seeing their tails wagging and wobbling like mad whenever I walk in our door. My family is one of my favorite things. I'm blessed with a wife that not only endures me, but loves me, despite the fact that I can be a big jerk sometimes, and honestly, I'm weird as dirt, okay? Even though she asks too many questions when we watch Star Trek, there's nobody I would rather watch the show with, all right? My kids, not that they're kids anymore, really, but I talk about them to anyone and everyone who will listen to me. They brought me such joy and delight over the years. No one ever has to question how proud I am of all of them. But we all have our favorite things, don't we? If I asked you to write me up a list of, your top 5 favorite foods, you'd probably have no problem doing it. Cheeseburger would probably land on my top 5. We all have our favorite drinks. Some of you are Diet Pepsi fans. Others are radical Dr. Pepper drinkers. Some prefer maybe a light tea, while others a strong coffee. We all have our favorite shows and movies, our favorite restaurants, favorite clothes to wear, and, of course, Because, well, nobody will ever really get upset if you prefer Samuel's coffee over Tim Hortons, and rarely will anyone feel bothered if you enjoy Mexican food over Chinese. When it comes to choosing favorites among the people that we are around on a regular basis, well, when we do that, feelings can be hurt and issues can arise. Naturally, of course, there are some people we just prefer to be around, aren't there? With some, we honestly have personality conflicts. They irritate us like dried sand stuck on us after we swim at the beach. You know what I mean? Some folks do things in ways that just drive us up a wall. Others, of course, we find simply a joy to be around. They make us laugh. We share interests with them. We can talk about anything and everything for hours and hours on end. And because of all these things, personalities, things in common that we have, stuff like that, there's just some people we naturally click with, while others, we enjoy being around some. Others, though, we just have to put up with, or honestly, we even avoid when we can. When you get a text, you take out your phone and look at who sent it. You either smile and cheerfully start replying right away, or you can sigh. Maybe roll your eyes and perhaps put your phone back in your pocket. I'm just going to deal with that later. I mean, that's just the way we all are. And while that is perfectly normal and very natural to be like, if you call yourself a follower of Jesus, there is a higher standard that we are asked to live by when it comes to showing favorites. Here's how James puts it in our text today as we move into chapter 2 of the book of James. My dear brothers and sisters, how can you claim to have faith in our glorious Lord Jesus Christ if you favor some people over others? Now, he puts things, I think, fairly blunt here. Likely because this is an incredibly sensitive and important subject for us to think about. If you have a faith in Jesus, how can you show favor to some people over others? Now, we kind of already answered that question, didn't we? Because some people are easier to like, and some people are annoying, right? But while that seems like a simple enough reason to favor some over others, makes sense to us, it seems like there is much more to the subject that needs to be addressed. And James apparently deems this concept to be one that needs further discussion because it appears that as Christians, favoritism towards specific people, it really should not happen at all. He goes on to explain things in the next couple of verses. For example, he says, suppose someone comes into your meeting dressed in fancy clothes and expensive jewelry, and another comes in who is poor and dressed in dirty clothes. If you give special attention and a good seat to the rich person, but you say to the poor one, you can stand over there or else sit on the floor. Well, doesn't this discrimination show that your judgments are guided by evil motives? Wow! Like, pull a pin and toss the hand grenade in the room there, Jimmy. He uses words like judgment and discrimination and evil motives to describe not the vilest offenders being held in prison for their heinous crimes, but us choosing to like certain people over others. Those are some pretty strong words he uses here. So I think it should be important to understand why he thinks this is such a big deal. Now, the example James gives here is various people come into church and they are dressed differently. Their look is different. One person, he says, walks in and you can tell that they have spent a ton of money and probably time on their wardrobe. They have fancy clothes, all the big names plastered everywhere. They've got on the diamonds and the gold necklaces and the earrings. The bling is blinging so much you can practically hear it all. They pulled up in a Lamborghini. They turned heads as they walked into church that day. But another person came as well. They came on the bus, though. And as they approached, it was obvious that they didn't have very much money. Their clothes, they were old, tattered, even a little dirty looking. And as they walked by, you can tell they probably haven't showered for a few days. Maybe their power or their water has been turned off. Two new faces have come to church today. One is large and in charge, wealthy and proud to flaunt their riches. The other is poor, and dirty, and obviously has very little means to live. How do you react to them? Now, James addresses his original audience here, who honestly understood this example a little bit better than we do. Because you see, here today, we don't have as much division like that is so obvious. I mean, sure, there's people who have a ton more money than other people, but we have something here today that did not exist in James's day. It's called the middle class. And while the average person doesn't drive sports cars and own yachts, I don't know if you've got a yacht hidden in your backyard or not, but we tend to kind of still blend in more. Many people have cars, a lot of people have cars. Most of us have electricity in our homes and running water. We eat every day for the most part. We take care of ourselves. The clothes that we wear, we all blend in, even though there's a few who will spend ridiculous amounts of money on certain brand name clothing. Most of us are happy to go to Winners or Walmart and just get what's on sale. But most of us make enough to get by, have decent clothes, take showers, and stuff like that. But James spoke to people who did not have a middle class. There were rich and there were poor, with very little in between. And so to see a person wearing purple clothes and a lot of jewelry, you just knew they were loaded, all right? And it was very tempting, just like it still is for us today, to look at a person like that and, wish that we were in their shoes. It seems that part of human nature has that envious side where we can always feel like, well, we would be content if we had just a little more than we do now, right? But that's a sermon for another day. James's point here was that all of us, we all, for different reasons, whether it be wealth and popularity or just personality preferences, we all can show favoritism towards certain people. And here, in James's time, the rich people were often given the best seats in the house. These Christians, they had a Jewish heritage background, and they would have known the setup of the synagogue, the local synagogue. They had seats set up in rows, very similar to the way a lot of church buildings are designed still today. But with a select few of those seats, they were placed right at the front of the building, and they were often placed on an angle so that people could view who was sitting in them. Those were the seats of importance, the good seats. people had those reserved, and they would come in, and they would be taken up to those seats, saved for the favorites, for the most important people, the ones who gave the most in the offering. And they were placed there so the rest could look at them and know they were better. And the poor, always had to sit towards the back. The lesser of importance were pushed to the sidelines to make way for the rich, for the favorites. It's funny, in church today, it's kind of the opposite, right? The seats that people rush to get are the ones at the back. We fill up on the back towards the front, but that's just a different culture. But James calls this kind of thinking judgmental. And he says that those acts like this, they're showing discrimination towards certain people. And no matter what kind of reason we have to prefer one person over another, it's suggested here that it is incredibly important as Jesus followers to work towards not showing any kind of favoritism like this. Whether it's towards people who have wealth or who are poor, towards people who are from another country or have a different color of skin, speak a different language, even towards someone who's practicing a lifestyle that you may disagree with because of your faith and beliefs. Because you see, my friends, first and foremost, no matter what else is before us, that person has been created as a loved child of God. And as his followers, it is our job, our duty, our honor to make sure that person knows this essential truth. There's so much confusion and sadness today, depression, other mental health issues. So many people who are looking for love, looking for meaning in life, looking for peace in so many different ways. But the only one who can bring them what they are looking for, the only one who can fill that void in their hearts, is Jesus. And the way that they are going to see him, the way that they're going to meet Jesus for the first time, that is through us. Jesus has given us the job as his ambassadors to present this truth to others. And people are not stupid. Because if we treat one another like this, if we let things get in the way of loving each other, when we are called to be brothers and sisters in the faith, they will see that. And that is not a very attractive sight. And if we spend too much time picking favorites, choosing to like certain people over others, allowing petty differences to get in the way, my friends, opportunities we have, they will be lost. Because people can tell when you don't want to be around them. So how about from now on, we stop allowing our differences to separate us, and instead we choose to reach out and we be Jesus. We be salt. We be light. We connect with and we love others unconditionally, no matter what's going on in their life. No walls, no obstacles, no favorites. Just followers of Jesus, living it up, living it out. Let's pray. God to choose our favorite things. Our favorite people, Father, that we enjoy being around because they make us laugh, they make us smile. And there's nothing wrong with that. We get, Father, the people who irritate us, who bother us, who make us sad, who can wear us down, and for different reasons, we choose to avoid them, not be around them. Or, Father, even walls can build up, and hate can grow, discrimination, judgment, and things that just make the body of Christ look like a very unattractive place to be. Help us, God, to avoid favorites, to see everyone in the same light as you see us, imperfect, flawed, sinful, and yet created by you, loved by you, children of you, and that through Jesus we have been made whole and clean. And Father, in that love and in that life, we would be able to present to others something that they are looking for. Love and peace and hope. They're trying to find in this world, Father. We just can't. Help us to be that light so that they can see